this incredible vest. I got this out of the Halloween section. I might be bringing this home. We have been chatting all about the fall trends, which I like to call fall characters. And really each fall character is inspired by a current runway collection. So today we are going to thrift the runway. I'm headed into Savers. I'm going to take these fall runways, these fall characters that I've created. I am going to curate collections right here in the thrift store at Savers, talk you through the curated collection. And then with Thrifting the Runway, I always like to actually style a look head to toe from what's inside the thrift store. It's a little bit of a challenge, but I think I can make it happen. All right, for Thrifting the Runway, we're taking inspiration from my 4 fall characters that are all inspired by specific runway collections. First, we have the Boardwalks of Deauville. I think I'm saying it right. You all have sent me options of, or you've sent me ways that I can say it correctly. I hope I said that one right. But this is inspired by Chanel's runway, which is kind of this 70s does 40s, a little bit nostalgic from France as the original Coco Chanel, and then also a 70s take on Sport Boost. And then we have Rebel Punk on the Streets, which is inspired by specifically Rabanne. This whole collection was inspired by Amy Arbus, the street style photographer in the 80s that shot all of the cool punk kids in New York for the Village Voice. So it's very much that idea of the thrifter, like me, who loves to just pile it all on, get crazy with mixing prints, metals, metallics, everything with texture. It's about playing and having fun with a little bit of an edge. And then we have the Countryside Clown. This is inspired by Altuzzara's runway show. There's a mix of this countryside horse girl jog purse, classic camel coats, classic pieces mixed with whimsical circus clown inspired ruffles and romance, and it's all the fun, theatrical classic that I love. And then the final character is the Moschino icon, which is inspired by Moschino. And I love this whole collection because there is this very core idea of menswear, but in this really interesting, eccentric way. So instead of just a basic menswear top and a skirt, maybe the skirt is layered over another skirt. Maybe there's a hat that has been created out of a men's button down. There are multiple ties in this collection, worn in really creative and interesting ways. It's just, to me, such a fun way of experimenting with menswear, but with an eccentric twist. So I'm going to take those collections, those characters, I'm going to go and see what I can find here in the thrift store inspired by these, and then I'm going to talk you through what I end up pulling together and curating, and then from there create some looks thrifting the runway. Found this incredible carpet belt. I think worn layered over to add some textures. Ooh, I love this. What's that? Armadillo print belt. And then super Argyle socks. Very Anna Sui fall. Love that. Whenever I'm thrifting the runway, I don't necessarily try to look exactly for specific things. I really just want to look for amazing, usually vintage pieces. So in terms of tops, I just really scan the tags and I can tell often if they're vintage, and I'm just going to grab out all of the options with the vintage tags because you never know how you can use it or style it when you're thrifting the runway. Oh my gosh, I just found the coolest Dewey's Men Shop, Lakewood, California. Incredible 1970s little knit top. I love this bright red. Just found a perfect piece for the Rabanne collection, the Rebel Punk on the Streets. This is actually Moschino jeans. We got purple leopard print, great little detailing all the way through. Such a fun little statement piece. The idea of wrapping. Ooh, I love this.
Very cool skirt, linen. Actually, Michael Kors, but very fun. This could be perfect more for that Moschino inspired dressing.
Hunting down some dress options for the dress party. Oh, I think I found a beautiful, yes, vintage dress. Very cool. Love the drop waist on this and all the detail here. This also makes me think of the Rebel chunkless strings.
The cart is very full. We are ready to now go through all of this, and what I'm going to do is decide which pieces go with each collection. So I'm kind of curating each collection, and then once you kind of have all of that together, that's when the ideas can actually start to come to life. So I've gone through everything and curated them into collections. I'm just going to review some of the pieces that I found. Now, of course, we're not hitting the mark on every single thing, but it's just taking that inspiration and seeing what we can find with that inspiration. So the first up is the Countryside Clown, which is inspired by Altuzzara. So I really just looked for anything that could be within that idea. So a little bit clowny. So I always feel like with that collection, there's a base to it that is very classic, but then there's a dose of whimsy. And to me, this is the whimsy. This top to me is absolutely perfect. It has a clown feel to it. I love the little polka dots all over it, and then the mixed colors there, and even the shape. To me, also, the most perfect accessory is this. This is a little girl's tutu. So this is your suggestion to thrift little girls' tutus out of the Halloween section because they make great clown collars if you're looking for one. And then really it's also about having some of those classic pieces in the mix. To me, this reads very similar to a lot of the coats that we saw on the runway. So that rounded shoulder shape, you flipping up the collar, then having maybe the whimsical clown on top of that, or something really classic like this Bill Blass blazer that has a tuxedo element to it, and kind of thinking of this paired with something also really classic like a great full skirt or a pair of jodhpur or a tapered kind of a stirrup style pant. And then even just some other items like a really great blazer that looks like it could be getting ready to get on top of a horse. When it comes to styling the looks when inspired by Rabanne, I really think this is where the thrift store shines because it's about just finding tons of mixed prints, wild pieces, often pieces that are rooted in the 80s. And so I actually found a ton of pieces, also looking for different textures. So, you know, something like this that has metal, and Rabanne always has an element of metal or fishnet metal details. But then we're also thinking about those kids in the 80s and how they might, you know, take pieces from the thrift store and just pile them up together in cool and creative ways. But then I also love the idea of doing a dress from the 80s and then maybe pulling out a piece that looks like some of the pieces that we saw in some of the inspiration photos. So this great coat layered with this dress. And then moving into the Moschino icon, it's a lot of menswear. So I did want to find some good men's blazers. So I have this one to play with. And then another great option is a vest. And I found this one, which I love the blue pinstripes of this. Then I also want to look for some very kind of straight line or great classic skirts. And I loved this almost chocolate brown pleated skirt that could be really great. But then there's also some pieces in the collection with layering of dresses, and I found this red slip. So this could also be something that gets worked into the styling. And then when it comes to Chanel inspiration, I have a harder time finding pieces today that would work for that. Of course, we're always going to look for something knit, tweed. This skirt could definitely work. I also really loved this top with it being a 70s piece. There is some 70s inspiration in the collection, and I'm wearing this pageboy hat, so I actually feel like I could do something here with this top, a little bit inspired by Chanel. So I think what I'm going to do is just try on some of the key pieces I think I want to play with for each look, and then build the looks from there. For the countryside clown, I did the tutu around my neck. This green coat was absolutely perfect. I ended up going into the men's department and pulling out these khaki pants because they have that great, just classic shape that I was looking for. And then I found these pointy toe white pumps that looked very much like the black shoes that were on the runway show. And then I actually grabbed a hat from Diane behind the camera. She had this on today. So I did this to create more of that black pillbox hat. But this is so much fun. So it's really about mashing up the idea of countryside classics with whimsical clown. Like I said, this is all about the spirit of thrifting with the Rabanne collection, the punk on the streets. And it was really just about pulling everything out that had color, print, and texture. And I went with this little striped skirt. I actually put one of the little blouses on first, and then I took that red vintage top that reminded me of Bodhi, and I layered that over it. And then I put this incredible vest. I got this out of the Halloween section. I might be bringing this home because it's definitely a very fun layering piece, especially mixed in with the coat. This coat to me is perfect. It actually really reminds me of the coat that Madonna has on in the photo by Amy Arbus. Found this little vintage bag. It's so great. I took a fur trim piece that was in the scarf section, and I actually made a hat out of it. Why not? Let's have some fun. My zebra print shoes that I was wearing and socks were a perfect match to this crazy and fun look. Moschino look, it was all about menswear, so I did this blazer with a pinstripe vest, put it over a women's button down that was a little more snug, and then I paired it with the brown pleated skirt. So there's definitely an element of schoolgirl here going on. I found these lug sole loafers, which felt fun and perfect, but to me the magic is really about taking the two ties, attaching them at the back, throwing it around my neck, and then wearing an exaggerated tie scarf. And I also found this little vintage bag. All right, we did our best with Chanel. Not all of the pieces were in the thrift store today, but I found this tweed skirt. I actually paired it with some black boots to create more of the chic look. And then this collection really had some 70s influences in it. So I took this 70s orange top, belted it here at the waist, and then I just ended up using a men's blazer, but definitely more of a tweed, feminine blazer would look incredible with this, but we did not find that today. And then I just did my pageboy hat because there was some fun styling with pageboy in the collection. So this is me in a Chanel inspired look. All right, that was a very fun day thrifting the runway at Savers. I had a blast dressing up all of the looks. I definitely got a few goodies for myself. And if you like this video, you can give it a thumbs up. I have new videos every single Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And finally, always play dress up. Bye!